Reddit is a gold mine for content creation, and most content creators and marketers are still sleeping on it. In this video, I'm going to quickly bring you through why Reddit matter more so now than ever because of AI, the overview of the process of how you can use Reddit to power your content creation, and a demonstration of my workflow going from the Reddit community all the way to created content that is being ranked and receiving traffic. And finally, on tips to help you get started with this process for yourself too. Now let's get started on why do people still hang out on Reddit and talk, right? Especially when there's Google and ChatGPT. We could always find a simple answer via these two platforms. So why Reddit, right? And this is very important because there is actually gap when we see discussion happens on Reddit. It usually identifies that there's gaps in information coming from either Google or ChatGPT. Think about it. If they had the answer, why would they ask? It's a lot more effort to create a post and ask as opposed to like searching on Google or just getting ChatGPT to give you an answer. And there's multiple reasons why, right? The first one is the information simply doesn't exist. Maybe it's a gap out there that no companies, no creator has actually been talking about it, or the content is actually very thin there, right? Or it could be that the existing solutions online doesn't work, right? They're telling you to try this product, do that thing, and it doesn't work for me for various different kind of reasons, right? And it's usually fleshed out in details on the thread itself or else in the comments, right? Or sometimes the users just they were aware of what are the alternatives, right? So they are seeking for more alternatives or user feedback or trying to see if there's more like unbiased input from real people. And lastly, it could just be that the topic itself is novel or it's somewhat of a news, right? Where information just doesn't exist yet, right? Opinions and solutions just doesn't exist yet. So take for instance, like if you're in the the domain of like say longevity, right? Or supplements, right? Or the zero or quantum computing, right? New things comes out or AI, right? New information is being released every now and then, right? And it's very hard to keep pace with all of these things, right? So companies does not actually publish fast enough, right? Marketers does not publish content fast enough to actually follow up with all these new topics and news, right? So it actually shows you all the gap that is available right now, and that's why it's so important for marketers to actually understand that hey, it is actually a gold mine, right, for content creations over there. So let's take a step back and think about the intuition over here, right? The intuition behind this whole method of taking Reddit as a source of like content inspiration, stems out from these few things. The first thing is that the Reddit curation itself, the hot and top topics, actually it's a way for curating what people are interested in, right? Because they are dedicating attention to it, they are dedicating their time to actually answer to a reply. So that means it's something of a top concern or something that they want to voice their input. That means it's a topic that people are excited about. So top topics generally signifies that there are attention on it. We should think about it, right? The next thing is that the thread itself, the Reddit thread itself, actually contains almost everything that you need, right, for content creation. You just have to look, right? It would contain the problem, usually in the post itself, or supplementing comments, right, or even inputs from other users. These solutions, because other Redditors are actually providing solutions, alternatives, and even review, right? When someone says that try this, but another person might come in and say that, hey, I tried that and it didn't work, try this instead, or point out that, hey, that's a bot, or that's someone that's a company trying to sell you too hard, right? So there are those like curations of like solutions and reviews in there. And finally, if you are working on SEO, right, there are the keywords is literally all over the page, right? So even if you're someone who's new to the industry, you can see that, oh, there's a lot of different keywords that you can actually use and find out like more information about, to learn about the jargons and the way people speak, in this audience group. So it's actually very data rich. It's just very unstructured, right? So, and the good thing about this is that it solves for many different things. It solves for idea generation, because the gap tells you that there's opportunities in creating those content. There is the solutions and keywords that solves for content creation. And finally, keywords naturally is what you are going to rank for if you are publishing like a written piece of content, or like even like other piece of medium, other forms of medium, like say videos or audio. You would need this as well, right? And finally, the last thing is also important about content creation is content distribution, right? Once you have created something, you would want to get it out there to people. So the discussion thread itself is actually a place for you to distribute your content to. So imagine instead of writing a Reddit response, right, you could write a whole blog article in response to that, with all your insights, compiling things from the discussion over there, and then now putting that back onto the thread, right? Of course, right, you want to be very tactful and skillful around how you're going to plug the content, but, right, the discussion thread itself is actually a mean for distributing your content and getting eyeball on your content on day one, even without SEO, right? So let's take a look at the overview of like how this look like, right? So we start off with like a Reddit thread, and then what we do is that we synthesize and create ideas around like what kind of content we can write, and that gives you the content idea, right? From there you produce the content, and then finally you distribute it back to Reddit thread. So it's actually a closed loop over here, right? Where it takes care of the distribution for you too, right? But we will see later in the demo that you don't necessarily have to just rely on just plugging your blog post everywhere on Reddit. Makes you look like an oddball over there, and you might get banned too, right? We can see that the same kind of content can actually rank high on Google and even picked up by AI as well. So let's head over to a quick demonstration of like how I've done this for one of the product that I have, right? So just for a little bit of context, I'm running like Wisp, which is actually a SaaS software for developer community that uses Next.js, right? So like we will follow through the demo using this, right? So naturally, like my audience, they are on Reddit, like are Next.js, right? So every single day I would be looking through this to see what sort of new content or gaps or things people are discussing about, right? And from there, I actually picked out on this 4 threads from like yesterday, right? So yesterday or the day before, right? So you can see it's a little bit dated now. So someone is asking if it's possible to self-host a Next.js app on AWS with all the benefits of Vercel, right? And there's this whole thing about no code start, right? So that's one, right? There's a second one which talks about, let's say, this simple line of code is impossible to add in Next.js, right? And like someone's trying to add some script onto his app, but he couldn't, right? Another one on like how to prevent my API from getting accessed by other people, right? But it has been deleted, right? And another one on how have you implemented push notification with Next.js, okay? So we have this 4 threads. And now what I did is that I'm actually synthesizing it, right? From the thread itself, you can actually read various different kind of like keywords and problems that they have. So take for instance like this like one line of code trying to add a script. We can take a look at oh, these are the pain point that people have been talking about. Like, I don't want to preload anything, I don't want async script, I just want the script to be added to the head, right? Or people are saying like, hey, I tried that, but I wish that it just worked, but no, it's impossible to even suppress the hydration warning, right? So it's something very specific over here. So you can see people complaining. And the good thing about complaint is that it's pain, right? If it's a pain, that means there is value in you solving for it. So what you should do is actually to list out all the pains, right? And all the solutions that people recommend to one another over here. And finally, also to take a look at what are some of the keywords that is being used over there. So from there, then we go into ideas generation. So based on it, we can see that, hey, we can actually write this on like how to do synchronous script loading in Next.js, how to solve for hydration error on legacy script, so on and so forth. So we repeat that for the 4 pieces of content that the 4 threads that I have looked at, right? And from there, we start publishing the content. So I'm going to show you, because I actually slept through this 1 day ago, and you can see that on I will just show you the last 4 blog posts over here actually corresponds to the 4 threads that I've discovered earlier on. So you have this post on how to implement push notification on the Next.js app, right? You can see the content has been written addressing like all the different kind of like tools that people have discussed about on the thread, right? And then cause for API security, right? And you can see all this content here, right? Navigating cold start and how to use like before interactive over here. So you can see that it's completed with code and examples and all of this. Now, the interesting thing about this is that a lot of this naturally fall into what you call a long tail SEO stuff, right? And the good thing about it is that there's very few people competing for it, and because it's very niche for people, right? And you can actually create content at scale if you use some sort of like AI or automation, right? So as I've mentioned, the writing the content itself, if it's not going to be ranked for, if it's not going to be useful for if people can't find it, then why would we do that, right? So let's take a look at some of the sample here, right? So now that you have talked about, like, imagine this, right? You are one of the users over here, and you are now interested in, oh, what are some of the alternatives or some of the products that I can use for push notification, right? So naturally you would like search for something like Next.js push notification, and guess what, right? Although my article was just published about 19 hours ago, you can see that it's ranking page 1, right, on like position number 4 or 5 here, right? So now I don't even need to distribute it here, because if people are interested in this and they search for something like that, they're going to land up here, right? Same goes for here, right? So what if I am asking like let's say cause for a API security, right? And you can see this content that I just published is like the second link over here, right? And the other one, let's take a look at this. We did this. How about this script, right? Someone suggested let's this before interactive thing, and then imagine if someone were to search for before interactive Next.js. There I am, right? 19 hours ago, but position number 4, right? And how about, let's say, self-host with all the benefits, right? So let's say people are thinking about like this Next.js AWS cold start. You can see, right, top results, and it's crazy, right? Think about it. I've looked at 4 threads, I've written 4 posts, and all 4 posts ranked on Google page 1 within 24 hours, and yeah, in fact, I'm starting to see click-through in some of this from search results already. So this is crazy, right? Imagine what you can do, you know, if you were to publish, if you just publish 4 articles every single day, right? We're using this workflow, okay? So yeah, Reddit is it's a gold mine if you know how to look, right? And I hope that that gives you, you know, that inspires you to actually think about like, hey, can I actually think about like what sort of content to create using Reddit itself. Now, coming to like how would you do this for yourself, right? So this video is actually serving as an overview, just so to show you like how the entire end-to-end workflow look like, right? In fact, the article is fully written with AI without any human, you know, editorial oversight over there. Now, what I'm going to do next after this video is actually to do deep dives into the various different steps over here to actually make it happen. So I'm going to cover things like how do you even find your audience on Reddit? Are they even there, right? You know, because sometimes you're selling to like, oh, security professionals, right? Are they there, right? How to mine for insights from a Reddit discussion. So you found something interesting. How are you supposed to do it, right? And let's say you manage to do it, can I use an AI to actually automatically synthesize that, right? So that you can actually do it at scale, right? Imagine like trying to do 4 a day. It's quite a little bit of work, right? And then also, now that you have the content idea, right, and perhaps content direction, how do you generate it with the insights, right? Because you do want the insights captured from the Reddit thread itself, right? And then after that, how do you also weave your product and services into the narrative, right? Because you have call to action, you have something that you want to sell, right? How do you weave that into the narrative of that? Because providing value via this content is great, but you know, what if you can turn that into paying customers, right? Or free trials, right? And finally, right, the art of distributing content back onto the Reddit thread without being, you know, seen as a spammer or being kicked out by the moderator over there. So yeah, so those are some other videos that's coming up really soon, but I hope this gives you a good overview of like how the workflow is like, and yeah, to get you excited about like all these topics that's coming up next. And something else, if you if there are specific questions that you have, right, feel free to add it in the comments below on this YouTube video. Yeah, otherwise let me know. Yeah, otherwise you know, stay tuned and hit subscribe so that you can actually you know, receive the video once I have published those. All right, I'll see you around. Thanks for watching.